The poem that I will share with you today brings together two very different worlds. There is, first of all, the world of a goddess, and this is the goddess Artemis, who's goddess of the hunt. The poem is titled Artemis Patiently Waits. Now, you may have seen images of Artemis. She's often pictured with a silver quiver over her shoulder filled with her arrows. And you must know that the arrows of Artemis never miss their target. And then there's the world of the Amish and the Old Order Mennonites. And that is the world where I have my roots. My mother left the Amish when she was a teenager. And my father's parents left the Amish when he was a child. And they all went to the Mennonites, or what we could refer to as the New Order Mennonites, because they drove cars and they had electricity in their homes. You may have seen images of the Old Order Mennonites and the Amish riding in black buggies pulled by horses. There are many different kinds of Amish and Old Order Mennonites, but among them, there is a concept which is common, and that is the concept of Ordnung. Ordnung is a German word, which means order and rules. There's a rule that is of particular significance to women, and that is the rule that as a woman, she must wear a head covering. And every woman knows why she must wear a head covering. She knows that it symbolizes something that she has heard in scriptures and across the pulpit ever since she was a little child, and that is that women are to be submissive to men, to their fathers, to their husbands, to the church, and the head covering symbolizes that. I remember what these head coverings looked like. Even my mother wore a head covering in the early days in the Mennonite church. These head coverings were a white kind of mesh fabric. And I remember that my relatives who remained among the Amish wore a head covering that covered their entire head, all their hair, and the hair, by the way, could never be cut. So this head covering covered their entire head and had these long strings that they tied under their chins. Within these religious communities, they hold one another accountable to the Ordnung. In the end, though, it is the bishop or the bishops, who are always men, who ensure obedience to the Ordnung. And with that, the poem, Artemis Patiently Waits. Scriptures shape, shift, to reign in life, and direct the horses to keep their black buggies full of girlhood dreams to the side of the road. Artemis patiently waits. While the world evolves beyond their blinders and out past the reaches of the reins, Artemis patiently waits. Rules morph and cover never cut wound tight hair. White head coverings tied just so under chins to keep female heads full of questions, out of sight and in submission. Artemis patiently waits while the answers develop beyond their grasp and farther than the reaches of their covering strings. Artemis patiently waits until one of them reaches for her hand. Longings labeled sin drape plain capes over shoulders, growing heavier, one generation to the next. to keep women from giving birth to forbidden strengths. Artemis patiently waits. While secret urges manifest new forms beyond their inbred obedience, and the last threads of tradition's cape, Artemis patiently waits until one of them reaches for her hand and takes the arrow that she offers from her silver quiver, shooting holes in every twisted scripture, keeping women down, wildly cutting every strand of hair bound up by Ortnon and the bishop, reclaiming words, rekindling longings, unleashing dreams, and urging vibrant life, teaching women now to drop their blinders, ask their questions, use their strength, and grab their reins and drive their horses right down the center of the road.